All right, look, what I want you to know is that I'm not going to take a lot of your time, but everything I say, you need to hold on to because it's evidence based, it's not speculative. As a lot of you know, I channel. My name is Will Price. I am the Chief Solutions Architect of PHIERS.org, where PHIERS is an acronym spelled PHIERS. The PH makes the F sound like philosophy. It's an acronym that these days the fact it stands for power held in every representative's seat. It is a way to get leverage over Congress so that they do what we the people want them to do, as opposed to whatever's motivating them to do the things that they do. They don't really want to end this war, but because they're paid not to, even though they know that this could be catastrophic for everyone. So they have a responsibility to end the war. To get them to end the war, you need to be able to hold them accountable for better decisions, which means you have to be able to offer them options that will either result in them making their constituents happy or else pissing us off. If they piss us off, then that means they're not working according to what we hired them to do, which means that they're not fit to stay in that role. So we need to recall and replace them immediately. So I can think of no more important set of activities to present to you. Everything is a logical flow from one to the next to the next. But the thing is, it's not a linear flow. You do one, it impacts all of them because everything is connected, and everything is connected and interrelated and interdependent, which means that failing to address any of these, the others will be able to pick up the slack to get it back to delivering what it's supposed to. And I'm going to quit being abstract. Now I'm going to just tell you what we got to do. First and foremost, we do have to do one thing that's more important than everything, and that is end the war. To end the war, you have to let your elected officials know before they go back to D.C. I think they're supposed to be in session on the 14th. So between now and the 14th, if we can get just 1,500 signatures on an online petition, it'll take you 10 seconds to say, all you got to do is give us your email and your zip code, and we will figure out who your representatives are. And we will let them know once we get to 1,500 signatures that we are planning a town hall meeting with them to demand that they end the war immediately, that they use the law to prosecute anyone who's guilty of crimes against humanity, war crimes, treason. And at the same time, you go ahead and invoke Article 25 and you impeach him because it's obvious he's not working to protect the health, safety, and well-being of the American people. He's doing what he does for himself. So either Congress agrees to end the war immediately or we will recall them. To do that, or replace them. And I'm not talking about waiting until the 2026 election. I'm talking about next week. Tomorrow, they're going to be in D.C. on the 14th, which means we have, 5 or 6 days, something like that, to get them in front of us to commit to ending the war, which they could do online. They don't even have to be in D.C. to stop our U.S. support for the war. So in order to get that leverage, I need you to sign the online petition. Just give me your email and zip code. All the data that we have is used to protect the collective best interests of humanity. What I'm building is a co-op that is not mine. I'm giving everything over to, it is a public benefit corporation that is 100% owned, operated by, and accountable only to the members, we, the people. If we organize and buy things as a group, we will be the largest purchasing bloc in the United States, and we will not do things for profit. We will hold our elected officials accountable for spending money wisely, which means that instead of spending $10,000 a year on health insurance, which doesn't even necessarily guarantee you'll get access to the health care you need, for the same, for $600, you could actually give people access to good quality health care. What's interesting is that once we hit critical mass, we generate more than enough savings to make universal health care a reality by giving everyone access to health care, not insurance, health care. The savings that the government has, no longer spending upwards of $10,000 per individual for care that the individuals never take advantage of. How many of us or end up in the hospital, need surgery, or being treated for complex things that you need insurance for, catastrophes. 80% of people who have health insurance paid for by Medicare and Medicaid never use those benefits. So why is the government going to continue to spend $10,000 a year to deny people access to the care they need, as opposed to just spend $600 a year with the telecare platform? Any telehealth program out there you want, we will sponsor your placement and involvement in, and we will have the system of record so that all the telehealth companies out there can collaborate on behalf of the individuals, which means that if you deliver care, if you're a caregiver, or if you're a facility, or if you're the beneficiary, everyone's going to be on the same page so we can coordinate and collaborate in ways that pays us to help one another. This is how we create a value-driven economy that is inclusive and moral, that supports and protects the health, safety, and well-being of the American people better than anything that's being offered by anyone who's in office today. To summarize, and so you understand what I just told you, there's this thing called telecare, telehealth care. Some people call it telehealth. Like a telephone, telehealth is healthcare you can get anywhere, because in every community across the nation, on every block, you've got people who would like to help others if they could get paid to do that. It's meaningful work. It's good work. And it improves the lives of people who you help. And in exchange for that, you need to get benefits that will improve your quality of life, whether you want products through the marketplace or whether you need services. Maybe you need help with housing, food assistance. These are things that if my plan, when PHIERS.org, which is my plan, I've been writing about it for, upwards of, 16 years, documented, with solutions that are essential to saving us now. Without going into all the details, because goodness knows I got a lot, those of you who are watching this on April 9th will know that everything that I say is verifiably true. I've been working on this solution since, known what I was here to do for decades. And that is focus on solving problems no one else is solving, so that I can get people to wake up from the damn matrix. Because the matrix is real. The stuff that y'all are reacting to is kind of like this group think experiment. No, that's actually a spell. And without us going into all the details, just know that what Hollywood, the entertainment industry, the religions, the big ones, the Zionist movement, all of these things are pushing us towards a narrative that's been played out like a movie script. Some might say, it's associated with the Schofield Bible, in fact. And it's all based on lies. And I've been in deep conversation with one of the world's leading authorities on Judaism. He is a legal and historical scholar. He has been a friend of mine for decades. He actually put prayers for the success of our movement on the Rebbe's grave, since like way back in 2009. He is also a staunch Zionist. And, so that means that we definitely do not see eye to eye on things, but we respect each other. Our friendship, we don't see each other, but we communicate openly, freely. And, we have a dialogue that I think would impress you, because I held him accountable for the things that Israel is doing right now that are not biblical, because, according to the Torah, they're supposed to honor ancestral boundaries, one law for all the land, take care of women and orphans, feed the hungry, assimilate. That is not a theocracy. What that is a democratic, secular government. So, yes, I do agree with Netanyahu on one thing, that it should not be a two-state solution. It should be one state that abides by the Torah. That way you could honor all the Abrahamic religions that are celebrating holy days these days. You had Passover, which started a couple of days ago, so I haven't heard from rabbis since then. At the same time, you got Easter, which just happened when Trump said he was going to annihilate a whole civilization, commit genocide on Easter Sunday of all times. And now you have a whole bunch of people on the right and left calling him, his actions. If you judge a tree by its fruit, his intentions, they're dark. So what Donald Trump is, they call him, he has anti-Christos energy. He's not the Antichrist, but he's certainly playing the role. Just like Netanyahu plays the role of the false prophet. He says that what they're doing is, designed to fulfill the Zionist prophecy. The rebuilding of the temple, all this stuff that they're going to see to it is destroyed, but they also want Armageddon because they believe, or that they say that that's when they believe that their Messiah is going to come. But what I told the rabbi and asked him to prove me wrong is this, and everything I'm saying you could ask him, Rabbi Mendy Cohen, the Chabad of Sacramento. I said, is it not true that your Messiah already came? Poems were written about them with the word Messiah literally in it, describing them. The people who liberated them from 3 different concentration camps. I'm talking about Patton's 761st Tank Battalion, the original Black Panthers. Liberated the Jews from 3 different concentration camps. Many of them went on to form the modern state of Israel. And they wrote poems about these soldiers, like The Black Messiah by Sonia Weitz, Weitz. Look it up. Holocaust survivor who, yes, I've got links on my website. I put links in the description box below as well. But suffice it to say that I asked the rabbi, in addition to those Jewish people who would have been exterminated if it were not for the black soldiers who saved them, it was bigger than that. Because just a few months before that, after they had outperformed all of the soldiers on the field, you got the Tuskegee Airmen, who were the only pilots who were capable of not just defeating Hitler's jet fighter piloted war machines flown by the master race of Luftwaffe aces that shot down everything the Allied forces threw into Germany, but they not only beat Hitler's aircraft with inferior equipment, but they did it repeatedly. They did it easily. They were so successful that they earned a name for themselves, the Red Tails, and they were the only reason Hitler was defeated, because they protected the bombers so that the bombing of Berlin could take place. And that's when Hitler lost his ability to manufacture tanks and aircraft. That's why Hitler lost the war. If the black pilots and if the black soldiers had not been involved in World War II, the state of Israel would not exist and Hitler would have won the war. So I asked the rabbi, is it not true that the state of Israel owes its existence to the black soldiers who I represent? I've dined with the family members of both the Tuskegee Airmen and Patton's Panthers, the Black Panthers, many times. And they told me point blank that, they regret having saved the Jews because of what they're doing to the Palestinians. And I told the rabbi this. I said, how do you answer that? The people who saved you regret saving you because what you're doing is evil and wrong. He didn't answer me. And I was like, well, let me ask you this. Is it not true that you owe your existence to the black soldiers who saved you from extermination? Answer me. He did. And all this, I got a really cool video I think you'll appreciate. And it walks you through the history, through everything that I'm saying about how the state of Israel owes its existence to the black soldiers who saved them, who I represent. And on behalf of them and people around the world who've been hurt by the Zionist approach to controlling everything. All I can say is that the ones who are responsible for your existence are the only ones with the moral and spiritual authority to demand that you cease fire immediately and you stop your quest for a greater Israel, because it's evil, it's wrong, and it's based on a lie. The fact is, Netanyahu, you changed your name. You are not from the land that you're ethnically cleansing. Therefore, you're doing this for what? Because you're trying to stay out of court for corruption. So to the degree that the U.S. soldiers, who Pete Hegseth says he has this holy war raging, you need to know that everything that you all profess to believe is it's not because you're the greatest, it's not because you're the best. Because if that were true, you wouldn't have to cheat. You wouldn't have to gang up on peaceful, elderly, weak just kind people. You wouldn't have to gang up on them and make it so that they can't fight back, or else that's going to be a reason to delete them. That's what cowards do. Cowards insist on hurting, killing people at a distance that never see it coming. If you're a real warrior, then how about stepping in the ring? I guarantee you that every one of the combatants that you want to bring to the table, I can bring someone who's going to be more effective. And we'll play by whatever rules you want. The stick is round, the blade is flat. We can go empty hand, close quarters combat, no projectile weapons because that's what cowards use. No more hurting innocent people. HURTING, innocent people, peaceful people. Nah, you all are on the wrong side of history. So if you really want to man up, if you really want to be all that you say you are, then agree to meet with my team in the ring. Or, if you want to use projectiles, just make sure you're fighting with other people who are also using them. And then you can play by whatever rules you all agree to so long as it is fair. But you've got to stop hurting innocent people. To the degree that what I'm talking about is a simple plan that gets our nation on the track to a better tomorrow. It pays for itself out of savings, and it's designed to end the war immediately because nothing else matters if we don't stop the war. So to stop the war, we have to undermine Pete Hegseth's holy war, the whole spectrum of them actually doing what they're doing because God told them to, divine providence, blah, blah, blah. Fact of the matter is they wouldn't even have a belief system because there would be no white Christian nationalist evangelical movement if it had not been for the Tuskegee Airmen and Patton's Panthers, the original Black Panthers, who are the only reason the state of Israel exists, which means that if Israel did not exist and there would be no Jerusalem for Jesus to be coming back to after Armageddon and all that stuff. When John of Patmos wrote Revelations, he was talking about what was going on in the past. That was kind of like his revenge dream. But Schofield decided to make it prophetic and future focused so that Hollywood could be used to trick people into thinking that that's what the military is supposed to be used for, so that they could have this big holy war and they could smear the brown people and the black people who are responsible for their belief system even existing. That, if you want proof that what I'm saying is true, ask Donald Trump why the United States doesn't celebrate the end of World War II the way that all the other countries do. It's because they'd have to acknowledge that black soldiers outperformed everyone. They weren't cowards. They were inventors, artists, soldiers. They actually developed this thing called drop tanks, which would allow them to fly farther and deeper into Germany, which was something that no one else had even thought about doing. That's the reason that they were successful at protecting the fighter planes, the bombers, to make sure that the bombing of Berlin was a success. So Pete Hegseth's crusade is based on lies because you wouldn't even have a belief system if it wasn't for my people. It is the Tuskegee Airmen and Patton's Panthers that are responsible for the existence of the state of Israel, and they wrote poems about them like the Black Messiah, because without them they would have been exterminated. That's what a Messiah does, and then gives them a prolonged period of peace and prosperity. And Israel would have been at peace had they not violated the Torah when they started expanding the settlements in 1948. And yes, in 67, they won territory back. So those were the borders that things needed to stay at. This, what they're doing now, this ethnic cleansing and genocide is evil. It's wrong. It's based on a lie. And to the degree that, ask the rabbi if there's anything that I'm saying that's untrue. If there's not, then it seems to me that no one on the planet has the moral and spiritual authority to demand that Israel and the IDF acknowledge the truth. But you all owe your existence to my people, the lost tribe of Judah, direct bloodline descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the Bible. I get it. Y'all are related to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob too, but not the ones in the Bible. My people are. Look up Dr. Fred Price when he talks about his DNA, and you'll pretty much know what I'm all about. So I asked the rabbi if it's not true that, if it's true that Israel owes its existence to my people, And my people are the ones demanding that their leader, Netanyahu, level with the IDF. You guys are not the chosen ones. What you're doing is evil and wrong, and Netanyahu is using you because he doesn't want to go to prison. So the fact of the matter is, you all are fighting a war that's based on lies. So now that it's exposed, you're either going to be a fool and continue to do what you know makes no sense, that's going to result in your ultimate death and defeat, or you're going to lay down your weapons, just like inviting everyone in the military, everyone in Pete Hegseth, Trump's private army. Like I said, if y'all are real men, you will stop hurting innocent, weaker, or peaceful or elderly people. You need to stop doing that because that's what cowards do. And you need to meet with my people in the ring. If you want to use projectiles and stuff like that, you can do that, but in a region, in a theater where you all are in agreement with your opponents. Because what worthy opponent wants to beat up people that aren't competition? The best defeats and the best fights and your most pride comes when you win against a worthy opponent. So quit picking on the weaker and the elderly and the peaceful. And I'm willing to, all my people are peaceful. I don't want violence at all. None of us wants violence. Excuse me. We will protect the innocent and the weak and the peaceful. That's our obligation. That's our responsibility. That's what light workers do. But no, we don't want to hurt anyone that doesn't hurt us. And that, kind of like Iran, they have no problem they have no problem beating up a bully. And sometimes a bully, will only listen when they get that, when they FAFO. So that's what Trump has found out. Hegseth, Netanyahu. We want peace. And my plan can compel Congress to end the war immediately and to give assurance to Iran that we will never again have a military that operates in an offensive manner, aggressively towards anyone. Our military will be used exclusively to defend the homeland from all enemies, foreign and domestic, which includes those in leadership roles that are committing treason. So we can hold Congress accountable for doing all of this and more the moment I get 1,500 signatures in your voting district. That's what I'm asking you to do. I just told you how to undermine white supremacy, the white Christian nationalist evangelical Zionist movement by helping them realize that they wouldn't even have a belief system if it wasn't for me and my people. And the fact that in addition to undermining your thoughts about supremacy, I'm able to solve problems that you all haven't even thought could be solved. And I'm doing it because of what I did with my dad and my kids. That's 3 generations of us working together to solve problems that are future focused, that are designed to improve the lives of people of all walks of life better than any plan under consideration anywhere on the planet. Because again, no one else can end the war without a plan like that belongs to we the people. Because the power of the people is stronger than the people in power. When we organize, work as a group, and buy as a team, or buy as a group and work as a team, we can solve the biggest challenges facing all of humanity. So in closing, just know that everything that I'm saying, like I said, is verifiably true. I've got a couple interviews that I'll put links to of where I've been interviewed by major PR firms that have been championed by the Sharks. The Sharks are actually spokesmen for it. The original season of Shark Tank had Kevin Harrington. He launched something, or he's the spokesman for Pathos Communications, one of the top PR firms on the planet. They reached out to me a couple weeks ago wanting to tell my story, saying they can get me FHIERS talked up on International Business Times, Forbes magazine, and USA Today. At the same time, I had .com magazine, which Kevin O'Leary, another one of the founding Sharks, they interviewed me back in 2022. I was going through some kind of crazy times then, just like I was going through them recently. And what I can tell you is that I'm still fighting the good fight, because a couple years before that, the people at Leaders Word and Leaders Verse wanted to tell my story. These are global thought leadership accelerators who said that FHIERS would benefit the world. So I'm credible in every which way, but I haven't launched because there were always bigger problems that I had to solve. Where am I right now? Well, I'm looking at the biggest existential problem facing all of humanity, and no one else has a solution. You know, I do. Make Congress do its damn job. And then the moment they realize that we will recall and replace them without a second thought, if they don't immediately end the war and prosecute those that are guilty of crimes against humanity and war crimes, undo Trump's horrible executive orders, which are going to destroy not just our food supply, our water supply, but our strategic relationships with countries around the world, the supply chain, our ability to, he screwed us over. So America's going to go through some hard times, but I got a plan that can manage our decline, because we are going to have some really hard times, but I've got plans that will expand the use of existing resources. For instance, there's a lot of farms that have extremely fertile soil because the crops weren't harvested. So we've got all the fertilizer needed right now if we mix things appropriately, and that's why we need our academics, the experts in soil chemistry, environmental stuff. We need to get them working together so that we can create soil so that we can eat. Otherwise, we're going to starve. There's a whole bunch of people who will get out there working in the fields. I'm talking about black people. Only this time, we will do it. We will be paid to do it. We'll have good benefits. We'll have help with housing. And we will make sure that we improve the lives of people across the nation and quite possibly around the world, because everyone needs the war to stop. I got a plan to stop the war. So to the degree that there's nothing that I'm doing for personal gain, I'm homeless, entirely not dependent on, because look at the lilies of the field, how they don't toil or spin, yet the Heavenly Father provides for them. By hook or crook, and the blessings of a couple people that are really special to me, I'm still fighting the good fight. Um, I get a hot meal every couple weeks. And even though they don't have money to give, they do their best. And they actually do give. And that's the only reason I can do this work. This shouldn't come at the expense of people who have already given everything for the greater good. The reason I'm homeless is because I was a whistleblower on Al Wilson, who I love dearly. He brought me to Sacramento so that I could launch a Manhattan project, one that he and I put together that would show the world that black dads and sons have unique value to offer humanity. And so it's only because of him that PHIERS.org exists. Him and a couple other people. I can't start mentioning names now, but you know who you are if you're getting this message on Thursday, April 9th. So suffice it to say that hopefully I've given you a reason to be more hopeful for the future than you currently are. We have a plan to stop the war immediately. I want to celebrate my hometown heroes, Senator Chris Van Hollen and Representative Glenn Ivey and Jolene and Rob Howes and Lisa Stanford, and there's so many other people that I want to thank. Ray, Deb, I can't. Just know that Keith, TJ, Sam, Ron, Mark, there's so many of you who I want to thank, but I got to stop because I risk leaving the most important people out, because I wasn't planning on mentioning anyone, and now I got to do it. Gail, Auntie, Mother Smith, Dad. That's pretty much everyone who's been in my life. Who Yeah, I wasn't supposed to go there. All right, so suffice it to say that what I've just given you is a very simple plan that will end the war by giving us leverage over Congress under threat